Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 47 of the Sitcast, aka the Siblings and Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Noah, joined by my buddy slash co-host Thomas and Justin, who is standing in for our beloved Donnie, who's being a good student. Whether you're a veteran card gamer or a first timer just testing the waters, we're all siblings in cardboard. Guys, how have things been? Justin, thank you for filling in for Donnie. What's going on? How's everybody's Wednesday evening?
It's been good. It's been good. Actually made it to an armory last night. Took it down with Kano. Had some fun.
No way.
Yeah.
Kano. You want Kano? Crazy.
Yeah, I know. Absolute shocker. No one saw that coming.
I talked to Chris and he says, yeah, the Tuesday meta is Kano at the moment.
There's only two of us right now.
2 out of like 10 at most.
Yeah, it's only 20%. They were the same number as Zens.
So when the world is ending in the Fab community, it's usually because we're worried that there's going to be a 20% Kano representation. So the world...
That's fine. I'll play something else next week. But then I did play Enigma on Saturday because I know that store has some people that really, really dislike Kano. So I was like, I'm not going to just like subject people to that. So I did play Enigma and there weren't as many people there. Wound up taking that one down as well. But yeah, that was... But the one last night was really, really fun. It was just a lot of like good times and good people.
Tuesdays are usually a really good time.
Yeah,
I played on Friday and I tried to bust out like a more cheetah / aggressive version of Levia. I hated it. I love Levia, but I like the like win on turn 9 Levia. I do not like the win on turn 5 Levia. I hate.
Are you playing like Wild Ride?
Yes.
Do you love drawing and discarding your cards?
You know what I hate? I just hate Wild Ride. I hate that card.
Do you love drawing cards and
pulping
then
has a place, right?
Discarding?
Pulping is this like cool card that has like a place where like it has dominate. Sometimes you can just close the game with it. It's like you can put a one of pulping in so that you can hit it with not Scowling Fleshbag, the other headpiece, the one that lets you take a card out of Banish. It just gives you another go again in your Banish that you could rip, along with like Blood Rush Bellow and Dread Screamer. But
instead, you have to draw a card. You have to shuffle your hand, pick a card out of it, and you have to discard the Reckless Swing that you drew off the top, or the Terrorlin from Limb,
it's not
or
even
the
that.
Convulsions from the Bellow of Hell.
I think I tried like 5 or 6 games of Talishar, and I did play 2 games because I was so fed up with it after the second game that I literally chose to play Riptide into Kano. That's how fed up I was with Levia.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! So in those like 7 or 8 games, I never used Consumed.
Oof.
Wow.
Because I don't have my cards don't block. My reds don't block. So the game's just over by turn 4. I don't have anything in my Banish zone. The deck's full of cheetah cards. I hated it. Yeah. So I'm done with Levia until either they print her some more cards that allow her to play the more mid-rangey game plan that I like with that deck that I really enjoy. I think if I can't play Shade and Death Hydra, I don't want to play Levia. I've completely fallen in love with that card. But the new Azalea deck came out. So I've got some new Riptide cards that I want to try to incorporate.
I know it's weird you say Azalea and then most of the cards are Riptide. I've been playing some Azalea on Talishar. I haven't made it to an armory. I'm trying to fix it. I get off work so late, and the last thing I want to do is be out even later, but I need to. If everything's up on the marketplace, there's half the battle at least.
Everything's
from
up.
The things I haven't.
Oh, all your stuff is up.
Yeah, everything's up. Everything is somewhat up on the market, sort of, depending on what you want to play, depending on really what you're looking for. But yes, everything is finally up, minus the small product I still have to open. But I've definitely been enjoying Azalea. I don't think it's a good time for Warrior right now, unfortunately, even though I'd still play Dory in a heartbeat. I don't know, just doesn't feel fun. I think Dory and Anu is okay, and I think that's about it. I think everything else is just not fun to play against.
We'll talk about the Battle Hardened and the Warrior representation after the market minute, but I think there's a resounding sigh coming from the Warrior community in Flesh and Blood right now.
It's a weird one. I don't know. Well, I don't think they're down and out, but it's definitely just like why. You know what I mean? It's a why pick for me. And all I want to do is play Warrior. So, but let's talk about the market minute. Let's talk about these weird cards that are going up.
what's going on?
We talked about this briefly on Monday, and I did mention it, but we're going to start with Heart of Findle. And I've talked about this. I talked about it when it dipped down. I talked about it when it slightly came back up. But it's sitting at $356 and selling again, which is big because it was back down to $270 at one point. And we knew it was going to go up with Burden's representation.
Is that
and
cold foil or rainbow foil, or kind of
rainbow
both?
Foil, cold foil hearts in a whole
yeah,
nother
that's
tax
right.
bracket.
That's it.
Never mind. Sorry, that's WTR. I don't know where my mind went. Of course,
Cold
that's
foil.
rainbow foil. Actually, now I want to know.
Cold
Different
foil's in a
tax bracket.
whole nother tax bracket. that zip code's out of here. I don't even think there's one selling on.
If you find
on
one for
TCG.
$300, please let me know. I'll buy it.
Yeah, that would be a steal. Heart of Findle though is definitely going to get some looks, especially with Verdance. Even I think just because we're in a arcane heavy or going into an arcane heavy meta, right? And so here's the thing about Heart. Heart doesn't have to block for it to get double value against arcane decks, right? You get to pitch to the A, B, and you also get to pitch to the life gain. So it feels pretty good. And we're going into a bunch of Runeblades and Wizards. So I feel it's multifaceted. I feel Verdance gets to really take advantage of it. And I feel like even if I was playing Dory, I'd try and sneak it in because I just think it's an overall okay zero block blue card. Heart of Findle did come out of Welcome to Wraith with the first set. It is a Fabled from that, so it is quite expensive. It's probably one of the only 3 Fables, I think, that hold any resounding value. And it is a blue card that says, when you pitch Heart of Findle, if you have less life than your opponent, gain 1 life. I really like the card. I think it's great. I don't think you should just necessarily fit it in, but it makes sense if you're going to play Verdance. It also makes sense if you think Arcane is going to be really big, which one of these decks is going to be good. So...
It's also if you're predicting the game is going to slow down, because Heart of Findle is a decent card the first time you pitch it. The second, third time you pitch it, though, it starts getting
Free
crazy.
real estate,
Yeah.
Definitely slower meta. Obviously, if we were in Zen and Lexi together in a meta, Heart would be
Zen
bad.
has anything
really
to
bad.
say about it, but
yeah,
It's also a great LO card because you have some slow decks there that really like Heart of Findle.
Well, I bet you do. I bet you can
Mhm.
turtle in that. Bet you can turtle in that format real well with that Heart of Findle.
You got your old hens, you got your Icelanders,
Oh,
just
yeah,
good heroes. Yeah, they love that card.
There you go. Yeah, right off the rip. So surprisingly enough, and I actually saw this card climbing up. And I think it's just nice because most of the Majestics out of MST, minus a very select few, have been kind of low price wise. I'm not saying they need to be through the roof, but usually when you pull a Majestic, at least one that gets played, this is a 3 of an Assassin, you're thinking, all right. I don't know if it's the Uzuri Spark. I don't know if it's because, New is also keeping toe in toe with Zen in terms of, top representation in tournaments or even wins. But Persuasive Prognosis is up. It doubled in price. In fact, probably more than doubled. So it was about $10. Somewhere under $10. You can get it for $8.50, sometimes $7. It's $20 now a card. That was $21. So it feels nice. Persuasive Prognosis is an assassin attack action blue card. Costs 0, pitches for 3, has 1 attack, 3 block. It's a stealth card. When this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck. Then look at their hand and banish a card with the same color as the banished card. Whenever this banishes an action card, gain 1 life. Pretty good card.
Thought sees that
Great
gains
art
life.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
Who would have thought? Good card.
And
Who
it's
would've
blue.
thought? Yeah, and it's blue, and it blocks 3.
And it's 1, meaning
Yes.
it's got built-in synergy with some stuff, right? With like Justinic. So the card does everything that Azuri and New want. I assume
It's
you play
almost-
Arachne too.
It's almost nastier in Azuri, in my opinion. That
Mhm.
card is so rude in Azuri.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because you
a-
go no blocks, and she's like, "Sure, let me see your hand."
Yeah, absolutely. I will see your hand, banish a card, gain a life, and rip a card out.
Arsenal,
Yeah.
Arsenal, the card you thought I was going to swap in.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
perfect,
I mean, it's
yeah.
good if you don't swap. Good if you swap. Good if you just buff it and go over it with
Yeah.
just a dick. Because it's
I was
like
gonna say, it's
it's a
also
triple
really
threat.
good if your opponent's at like 8 life and you have 2 Justinics in your hand.
Or like you just have like a shred, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
so just basically how, no matter how you played it, it's like, cool, we did it.
It's
a
good
win-win-win.
card.
Yeah, that card's good.
Definitely feels good. So those two were from the MST current meta. I mean, obviously, things we've talked about, intoxicating shot still up. I won't go into it. Weakest link still outrageously expensive. But we're going to get into some cards that have gone up, I assume, for speculations for the upcoming set. The first one I want to talk about is a Wizard Instant. Oh, here we go. Should be exciting, right? Oh, yeah, look at you. What card do you think it is, Mr. Wizard
Please
Expert?
don't tell me it's Brainstorm.
No, it's not. That one went up like only to $2. So it's up, but not up. This one's actually up 500%, 605%. It was under $1. So hold on. It is a blue Wizard Instant, cost
Aetherize?
1, pitches for 3. It's Aetherize. It is negate target instant card cost with 1 or less.
Oh no.
The card does not resolve. Put in the owner's graveyard. It is from Crucible of War. It is now a $5 to $6 card. What do you think? You think Aetherize is the right deal?
No. I don't. Do we want to live in a Flesh and Blood world where that card is actually playable?
Well, apparently we're turning it into blue magic right now. There's going to be negates flying around and Aetherizes. They're saying, you want to play that card? Counter that.
You can turn off whole transcend turn, so they go like pitch for Jade Tiger, and you could just say no. Or they go for Art of War, and you can say no.
Yeah,
It's Art of War though it's even better because they still lose the card they banished, right?
They do have to pay costs for Art of War regardless.
If you choose banish a card, draw 2 cards, isn't that part of the cost?
No, that's part of the action. Like, that's the action on the card. You declare your modes as cost.
Okay. You declare.
Okay,
It's just declare modes as costs. You don't actually.
Okay, okay. I was going to ask that because it specifically says the card does not resolve. So I guess resolution being resolved is paying the cost then. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't.
It's also even a May. I didn't realize it was a May.
Yeah,
you
like
can choose that mode and not do it.
Yeah, it's got plenty of outs for it, but you do have to declare your modes on play. But I don't know. That might be good. It might not. I used to be a hater of those kind of cards, and then I played LL format, and we'll talk about that more later. So maybe no buttons are really good.
It costs 1. It's kind of expensive.
It's a weird one. I have no idea.
You know, we were discussing before we turned the cameras on. This is a blue card do nothing. We love our blue card do nothing.
But I think in this upcoming meta, right, with the more amount of rune blades and instants that you're going to be playing, and you're going to be playing AB, obviously. Wizards play AB into each other, right? So couldn't you technically pitch, have 1 floating resource after you've AB2, and then you negate the third thing that comes in? I feel like this is...
We'll talk about
the blues
we'll
are
talk
a little
about it
better.
more when we get to the rules reprise and things like that. Like, there's going to be some interesting points with Aetherize.
So next we have some rune blade cards. One of these I mentioned, Runic Reclamation, has gone up again from in the last month 300%. It's up to nothing crazy, still $5 or $6, kind of like Aetherize, but it was a pretty much dollar card, if not 65 cents at some point back in July. And Runic Reclamation is from Everfest. It's a majestic runeblade action attack. 3 blocks, 7 attack. Cost 3, pitches for 1. It's red. When Runic Reclamation hits a hero, destroy target aura they control. If you do, create a Runechant token.
Florian makes 2.
Yeah, this has to be a Florian card, right?
It's a popper.
It's big, it's beefy, it might be a Florian card. It could just be a popper for all rune blades, but because you played that card in Chain and you played that card in Briar in maybe Briar too, but definitely Viscerai back in the day. Just because you needed good poppers for Prism.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it feels all right? It has to hit now for you to destroy the aura. But I guess you can
terrible number to block.
Typically, if you throw this and it doesn't hit, you're also happy.
I'm over the moon.
Yeah. 3 for 7s are
I think
good.
it's a feel good. 3 for 7 is always good. Blocks 3. I think it feels good. I don't necessarily see a downside to this. It's speculation stuff. I think people just want to get their play sets. I haven't I got nothing against that. This next card is also a Rune Blade action. I think we've actually mentioned this one before, at least in passing. That's Dread Triptych.
That's a Florian card.
Mm-hmm.
Also out of Crucible. So a lot of Crucible and Everfest cards. Rune Blade cards generally coming from those earlier sets. This is a blue that blocks for 3, costs 3 to play, pitches for 3, and has 4 attack. If you've played a non-attack action card this turn, create a Rune Chant token. If you've dealt arcane damage this turn, create a Rune Chant token. If Dread Triptych hits, create a Rune Chant token.
They're all separate instances.
Meaning he gets 2, 2, and 2 if all 3 are correct for him, which is big value. Big value.
This card, everything about this card, the flavor of it, the art, it's a blue 3 for 4. This is just such a cool card. I'm excited for a deck that can use this card effectively.
I loved this card in Skeletivus because if you whiffed on your Sonata, like you go for your big Sonata turn and you couldn't find Ninth Blade or Amp or one of your other like big ones, you would use that as your starter, and it was a guaranteed just like 6. Like there's the actually stream game of me having to lead up with a Dread Triptych as like my free thing to do.
Right, because like
I love this card.
The first 2 parts of it are almost always going to be on your go turn. You get those.
Yeah. All 3 were live. Like you can't stop the arcane. Like there was no point in blocking that because you knew that there were like more on hits incoming. Like I had like meet and greets in my banish. Like what are you gonna do? Block the Dread Triptych or the meet and greet?
True.
So love the card. Very, very fond memories of that one.
It is an exciting card. It's a good speculation. Some of these are good. The prices are good right now too. If these seem to be leaning toward being played, I know it's still really hard, especially because they've shrouded most of the rest of the spoilers, and I still don't think everybody has a full view of how the deck is actually going to speak with each other, which the old cards with any new cards. And so the last card is also slightly up. I definitely think it has to be on the radar. It's also a Rune Blade action card, and that's Rattlebones. Rattlebones is now peaking close to, in some cases, $17, $18. It's right now at $15, which isn't too crazy from where it is. It usually was a $10 card. In some cases, you could get it slightly below at like 8 or 9. But Rattlebones is a Crucible Rune Blade action, costs 2, has no attacks, blocks for 3, pitches for 1. Banish target Rune Blade attack action card from your graveyard. You may play it this turn. If you have dealt arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, you may play Rattlebones as though it were an instant.
This is such a cool card. It's a bit of a flavor fail, I think, because this is definitely a shadow card. But I think they wanted Viserai to have access to it. But when you look at a lot of Viserai's stuff, you also think Shadow Hero, even though he's just a plain Rune Blade. But yeah, the banish interaction, the fact that you could kind of just rip your best card out of your graveyard. Man, you get to play it as an instant too, so it can make an action point.
Fun card.
Dude, this card is so cool.
It can make an action point. If it gets played as an instance because it has Go Again, it does generate an action point.
Go Again rewards you
correct?
an action point, regardless if you spent an action point to play the card. Yep.
And I'm sure there's other crazier, more easy, I guess, to access cards. But I mean, hypothetically, you have you're building up these rune chants. Hypothetically, any of these Rune Blades playing Rattlebones can, throw a Rune Gate card in a banish and then just blast a widespread out of there. Blast anything that could be played from banish, a Vantum or
what's the name of the Viserai specialization?
Which one?
The one
which one? There's like 900 of them.
The one that synergizes with Rattlebones. So
Ascendancy?
you could do the thing multiple times where you just generate a bunch of rune chants.
Arknight Ascendancy?
Yeah, Arknight Ascendancy. So basically, this just lets you have 3 more copies of Arknight Ascendancy in your deck for like the Turtle Burst Viserai, and that deck is sweet. I wish it was better. I'm kind of glad it's not at the same time, because I think the Turtle Burst Viserai is cool. Maybe it'll get better with Rosetta.
I hate that deck.
I do not like OTK Viserai. That is not a fun Flesh and Blood experience, in my opinion. I kind of hope Florian doesn't end up being that he could, because he is Earth. Earth is kind of tanky, but I'm hoping
we will see. He currently needs a lot of 3 blocks. Because if you look at the current Earth pool, a lot of it's 2 blocks. So we need to see a lot of 3 blocks to make him tanky.
It's too bad we won't have Crown of Seeds, right?
Oh yeah, you also won't have that, so we're fine.
Thankfully.
Yeah, we're safe.
That's what I had. I would suggest kind of taking a look at any arcane cards, any Runeblade cards. I still suggest you should pick up any lightning cards you think. I think shock charmers, I'm still out on those, but I think you should have a pair just to be on the safe side. Especially with the more cards that get released, things tend to spike. They tend to spike crazily for no reason. Be ahead of the curve, and I'm still buying up ice cards because I know it's going to make a triumphant return.
Buy your ice cards.
Along with like a bunch of other stupid cards that probably nobody should ever speculate on. Also, Poison the Well is still up. It's going to go through the roof, so I'm ready for that, though. I'm ready for Poison the Well. I'm also ready for Bingo.
You guys love our blue card do nothings.
But Bingo's a real deal, too. Don't worry about it. One of these days.
We don't know so much like our red card do nothings.
Well, blue card do nothings feel good. You still pitching for 3.
It's
you have
a blue.
A great time.
You can always justify it because it's a blue.
Right. Mm-hmm. Poison the Well, just throw it in for no reason.
All our ninja players who've ever drawn like 2 Warmonger Diplomacies in one hand thought, man, I hate this card.
Hey, Snag's almost $20 again, just so everybody's aware. Okay?
Or like watching people die to their snags. Like watching the person die because they have 2 snags in their hand. Like
a notorious snag hater here. I hate snag. I don't like the card at all.
All right, well, that's fine. So we can move on.
Yeah. As expected, as soon as we finished our podcast, I think it was like later that night or the very next day, we got the rules revised explaining how meld cards work. We were pretty close, except we get that solidified. It can only be played if you meet both conditions.
I like it.
I don't.
I like
it. Says hates fun.
I like that we don't have to worry. It'd be a deck checking nightmare.
Why?
Just let it be, because
if either side fits, it's legal. You just can't play the other side, or you can play the other side. Who cares? None of these cards are that strong yet.
I like this.
I think the one thing that is like the interesting detail is we got how they resolved. They always resolve from right to left. Why right to left? I don't know, but
there's a very good reason for that. You look at
right?
No, you look. It's the instant side first. Like, so think about it as the instant side first and then the non-attack action.
But I'm saying, why did they put the instant side on the right and the action side on the left?
Oh, that I have no clue. You're asking the wrong guy on that one. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. Who knows?
Flavor Town.
There is no.
Guy Fieri had his hands in it.
Something. Meld cards are a complete bomb on flavor. There is no flavor to meld cards. It is 2 distinct cards with no theme matching them on the card.
There might be a little bit of flavor.
So far,
right? So far. Remember, this LSS making the distinction that it has to match both means that they can create some pretty deck specific things, and I like that. Rather than just saying, well, if it's a this and a this, then they have to worry whether it fits into some deck they never intended it to fit into. And so I like it. Keep them distinct.
I think it's fine. It's a little unexciting, but I'm sure it's fine. I kind of wish they work more on like the flavor, kind of like how Magic the Gathering, it's always like a pun. Call. Yeah, it's a pun or an idiom, right? But I'm actually more concerned with the game being fun than I am with the game being cute. So
yeah. What was it? Okay, so when they are played together, it is considered to be one single card, which I think is not fun, and that's my like LSS hates fun thing, because I wanted one side of it to be like a lightning instant and then the other half of it to be like a lightning wizard action. So that would be my 2 lightning things for my Volsar staff.
Oh.
But because it is one card, it will always just be the one.
It'll only count once.
Yeah, I don't get to double dip.
Doesn't that also mean, we were just talking about Aetherize, doesn't it also mean that if you Aetherize the life side, that...
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got a question. Okay. If you play Pulsing Aether and you don't play the life side, can you Aetherize it?
Nope.
No.
Because then that side is not on the stack. Like that card never existed.
Interesting.
That half of the card doesn't exist.
Okay.
And that's
this isn't going to be a rules nightmare.
Yeah, and that's why I think Aetherize might be going up, is because, like, okay, yeah, sure, like, you see the meld cards, it's, like, really strong into the other meld cards. But also, like, you see that stupid Briar card, or not Briar card, Aurora card, the meld, the burn up shock.
Mm-hmm.
You can just, like, no button 5 damage. Right? Like, you could just have your blue Aetherize just say no. And if they needed it for, like, go again, because they're trying to, like, creepers it or something, you just, like, super stunted a turn. Or they're, like, trying to, like, Vela flash it. But I don't know. The rules reprise makes sense. The cards work how, if you think about it for a little bit, they should work. I'm hoping we get more interesting meld cards, because currently I'm not enthused about any of these too much. Well, like
Right.
Burn Up Shock is crazy. Thistle Bloom is crazy. But like, I don't know. I want them to do something cool. The Comet Storm one does not have me enthused.
Okay. We do have more spoilers. Other than that, we got a couple more. We got some expansion slots. We got Adaptive Dissolver. And I think we called this on the podcast, like what Teklavossin remotely needs that would make him more viable without making him like potentially like unfun to play against. He just needed equipment that had base AV. And that's exactly what we got. And actually we got even cooler than we thought, right? Because it's modular.
So
yes.
So yeah, if you haven't seen the card, it's Adaptive Dissolver. It says it's very simple. It says modular, that it can be equipped to any equipment zone as long as it has that subtype. And for 0 cost, you can equip it to another equipment zone, and it has Arcane Barrier 1, no block, like not even a 0 block value, just Pearl. And it's a cool card. It's exactly what Teklo needed. Just remember, you can only play a playset. You cannot play 4 of these. You can only play 3.
We haven't seen a usefulness for that action yet.
Yeah, I want to know what that
Not
is.
yet.
Like, if you equip this into another equipment zone, maybe there's something that triggers on that. I don't know, but
Oh, wait, no, now there is. Yeah, because the Teklo pieces say whenever you hop out of one piece of equipment to another, if it's like base to base, like the Steel Soul stuff all activates on entry and exit, right?
wait, can you do that? Can you equip Adaptive
would you-
Dissolver or
On top of like,
of a blue base? I guess you could.
yeah, because this is a base and that's a
yeah.
base, right?
I don't know. I have no clue.
It's like
I never
putting the
even
red-
thought about that, but
Yeah, it's like putting the red bases on top of it. It's a super like niche use, but like, I don't know,
Hold
if
on.
you need Intellect 5 one turn, put it on top of your Steel Soul memory and just do the thing.
it doesn't say equip it to an empty equipment zone. Can you just overwrite any of your equipment with it?
I think you can.
I'd like to see the rules on that. Yeah,
I might look
was
that up.
looking
We'll have to
at
wait on the rules.
action.
Yeah, we'll have to wait on the rules reprise on that, but I think that's actually like this card is really good.
Well, I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it before and before. Like, it's like a huge weakness for him. I mean, granted, he has other weaknesses, but there was just nothing base wise, like nothing toward his game plan that had AB on it, and so it was well needed.
I know the modular doesn't get you like the extra intellect or something because it specifically says it has to transform from or into an Evo with a different base. This isn't transform. I have
This is
no
also
clue.
not an Evo.
Yeah.
This is Adaptive
just-
Dissolver. So okay, so it doesn't trigger the Evos.
No. I have
That's
no clue.
lame.
I have no
That's
clue.
not cool.
Maybe it's just something they're slowly reintroducing. Maybe it'll be Bright Lights 2.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't trigger the Evo effects. That's lame because they specifically call out Evo with a different name.
Because I could think of specifically
Yeah.
with the soul memories, like one thing that you could do is you can protect a piece of equipment, right? If you're worried about it getting
Yeah.
T-boned off or something, you can cover it up. But that's not how that works. Okay,
I don't know. Anyways,
our
but
other
it's what
spoiler.
technically needed.
Our other spoiler is a Ranger
Mhm.
spoiler.
Best card we've seen.
I don't know about all that.
I'm not going that far.
So this is clearly a card meant for Riptide, right? Just like Reel In.
Yeah.
Reel In was meant for Riptide. Plan for the worst. It's a blue 3-block. Look at target hero's hand and arsenal. At the beginning of their next end phase, they discard all cards in their hand, destroy all cards in their arsenal. Search your deck for up to 3 traps, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle 2 cards from your hand into your deck. I don't like this card. I think I've been pretty vocal with people I've been talking to. Even the people who are more skeptical about cards are probably a little bit more accepting this card than me. I feel like this is a big, fat, blue do-nothing that you're putting into your Riptide deck. It's doing one of the things you don't want to do and basically tell your opponent that you have a trap in your arsenal. What trap might it be? I don't know. You get to choose 1 out of the 3. It doesn't matter. You still told them there is a trap in your arsenal. Every once in a while, there's nothing they can do about it. But quite often, they can just go pass. And yeah, the seek and destroy effect on the card is like the one thing that's good. But they still pass with the trap stuck in your arsenal.
Okay, so we were talking about it a little bit, right? Like, I'm thinking of a situation against Zen, right? You haven't played your collapsing trap yet. You need your collapsing trap.
Mm-hmm.
You play Plan for the Worst. You see their hand. It's a bunch of go again cards. And you obviously grab your collapsing trap into, what's the go again one? Frailty traps?
Yeah.
That's the other ones?
Yeah.
I don't know what the other go again trap is you play.
Frailty trap. You can get Tar Pit trap.
Tar Pit, that's the good one. It doesn't really affect Zen though, but you get the idea. So, okay, so you grab your collapsing trap, you just pass and you sit on it, right? And then now, like, Zen is stuck in this situation of like, well, do I just pass? Do I not pass? Do I just lose my whole hand? And then he still has this stupid pendulum, or this stupid collapsing trap in his arsenal that I got to deal with eventually.
But what does Riptide do with it? If the Zen
Trench it away if it needs to. Is there a way to put a trap in face up?
So that's something to consider. A lot of successful Riptide decks, I like Trench personally, but a lot of the more successful Riptide decks have been running Tunic. So this card is like, you're literally saying, I can't run Tunic.
I mean, I feel like the whole point of playing Riptide is that arsenal manipulation with Trench. So I mean, I feel like that's half the battle.
Trench lets you be like willy-nilly, loosey-goosey with your arsenal. You can just throw whatever in there, right? And you can get it out.
Which I think that's the point of the traps. They're there to be the deterrent, and then they're gone if you get CNC'd or if you just it's a
I'm
wasted.
not sure how much have you guys played Riptide? Much?
No,
I have played exactly 2 games of Riptide, so like I'm not going to try to be a subject goal.
What is your primary goal for the playstyle of Riptide in general? Like, there's tankier Riptides or like fatigue Riptides. I'm talking about the more mid-rangey up to Cheerios super aggro. Your goal is what? It's literally to get all the traps out of your deck because they suck. They're good, but they're terrible at the same time. So every time you block with a trap, you've extracted value. You want to get them out of your deck as fast as possible. So you're just, as you draw them, you're just putting them in and playing them and just using them. Plan for the Worst is like, it's not even a trap. You can't de-react with it. Most of the time, Plan for the Worst is going to get you more value by just blocking with it. In which case, you could just put a blue bolt and shot in.
We'll have to see how this one actually plays. I'm not like, I don't think this card is incredible. Like, I'm trying to think of like positive use cases for it. Cause like, for example, like what the hell do you do with this against Victor? Like, okay, Victor gets to play Spinal Crush that doesn't turn on any traps now.
Exactly.
You just gave him a full hand.
Also, like you ever play Plan for the Worst and you see a Command and Conquer in their hand, you go, oh, that sucks.
But you get traps and then you get to shuffle 3 cards back. So you can literally if you
just play this with a card left in your hand, you're throwing. You should have blocked with that card. You literally
it's gonna be a weird card.
I don't know. This is the only card I have. I'm playing it. It's my 1 card play. Riptide actually does struggle to have 1 card plays, right? Because you have to have a 0 cost arrow in your arsenal or a 1 cost if you're running Tunic. Same thing with Azalea. She doesn't really have 1 card plays either. So this is a potential 1 card play that does disrupt your opponent. It does take them off arsenal next turn. There is some merit to it, but is your deck built around 1 card plays? No, Rangers are not built around 1 card plays. So why throw? Also, this card makes you more vulnerable to fatigue. This is another card that doesn't deal damage, and it's a tutor. And tutors make you more vulnerable to fatigue. As a Dash.io player, Spark of Genius is really great, but
It's your
Yeah,
last card. You're
you're
going to
pulling two
shuffle
cards out
those
of
two
your deck.
traps back.
Mhm.
But you're shuffling them back, and then the one card you put in Arsenal, you could just not even use in trench
No,
afterwards.
so then you wouldn't neg one card in deck if that's the case, because you had...
you don't only.
But
For
you were
playing
saying if you wanted to like make them think that maybe you didn't keep a trap, you kept an extra card and played this. And remember, plan for the worst does not have go again. So this is the
I
end of your
understand
turn.
that.
You said I'm
Look,
not going to play an arrow instead, or I'm not going
we
to
might
strike
be
for 7.
we might be completely off the rails here, right? That look at the art for Reelin, look at the pirate art. This might be for an entirely different hero. What if they realized Riptide wasn't the trap like master they wanted him to be, because people just enjoy Arsenal manipulation? So they said, you know what? That's fine. You guys do whatever you want. We're gonna make another ranger down the road that's this piratey themed like hunter guy, and he's gonna use the traps better. I don't know, but I think the card has value. I really do. I think that you being able to mind game what trap was kept and put into the arsenal and literally hose your opponent's turn feels pretty good.
There's
Because
no
they have to
mind
use their
game.
hand and activate it, or they lose their hand. And what if it's a really good hand?
There's no mind game.
It's a mind game.
If it's Zen, you just swing into them anyway. If they collapse and trap you, you go, well, that's cool. I had a bunch of tigers anyway. Let's see if I draw better cards.
I don't know. I think it's better than Real In, but
It's
like, I don't have
way
any strong
better than
opinions.
Reel In. I would put like 5 of these in my deck before I put a single Reel In.
So like, hey, if that's our floor, like, good job, LSS. We did better.
This could be a cute one of, right? Maybe
Yeah, like,
maybe you
I
want to
don't
have
know.
quote unquote you want quote unquote 2 collapsing traps in your deck, right? You want to double your chances of getting collapsing trap on time. That's maybe fine, but it's still kind of a really unexciting card as someone who's been playing a lot of Riptide recently. This card makes me go meh. Compared to Adaptive Dissolver, if I were a Teclabossin player, I'd be like, yes.
As a canon, I'm not happy to see Adaptive Dissolver, but
Right,
they really need that
because
card.
he could just run 3 of these in his deck now.
Dude, now if I play that Fatigue Teclo deck, okay, so at one of the Battle Hardens, I played a Fatigue Teclo that played 3 Rustic Relics, 3 Epots, 3 Triple Oasis, and AB4 on the board. So now this dude doesn't even have to give me as many sideboard spots to do that. He just has the AB4 or 5 just built in.
And by the way, there's like no opportunity cost for him just starting with those.
Yeah,
That's
like,
his 3 starters out of 4. Right?
Yeah, like, I don't see a reason. I'm not a huge Teclo person, and I know the Cogwork stuff does like have real text.
The boots
but-
are the best.
Yeah, the boot. Oh, gain an action point for 1 resource is insane.
But
Like-
all the Cogwork stuff says you have to boost first. So you typically don't even bother with those. I think you just use the base equipment because they can't get like destroyed.
Well, yeah, for sure. But like, I don't know. We'd have to talk to some of the other Teclo people that we know.
I'll talk
but
to my buddy Nick. He's a Teclabossin player.
that's exactly who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So
He
Yeah.
probably is gushing about this card. I'm actually
Yeah.
excited to ask him about it.
yeah, I've seen him and a couple other people talking about it, but I didn't actually look because I gave up Teclo and haven't looked back. Anyways,
We got the new Azalea deck came out this past weekend too. One of the people at our armory picked it up and actually won a game and almost won 2 other games. So these armory decks, great product.
I've heard.
If you want to
Go
get a
ahead.
person into flesh and blood and like you're just like, hey, just spend $40 one time and you've got a deck that actually competes in armory. His win was he beat a Kano because it has AV1 in it.
Yeah, and I've talking to a couple people who have played the deck now. They're just like, this is the strongest out of the box deck, and it may just be that Azalea has the strongest out of the box hero text.
Mm-hmm.
That like you just put enough pumps and arrows in, it doesn't really matter what they are; they're going to be good. But
It's well made.
yeah, but
for
it's
sure.
a
Like-
greatly made product. Even if it's trying to do the aim counter stuff, who cares? Like,
Stone Rain is
They're trying to
good,
make-
though.
yeah, but they're good cards, so it's like maybe it's worth it to do aim counter stuff. And Sam Scour Greatboat will be a good card one day.
Oh,
Who knows?
I am working on a Riptide list that's more aim counter teched because Stone Rain just feels like a card you can't ignore. It's got so many powerful play lines. So like,
Yeah, it's a strong card.
Sharpshooter, Stone Rain, 1 pump, shoot it, crack Snapdragon Scalers, another pump, shoot another arrow, because
They had to deal with the Stone Rain.
the Stone Rain rips a card from their hand. So now that
Yeah.
they like almost guaranteed can't block out the next arrow either. Like, man, I'm pretty excited about Stone Rain. Also, it makes Riptide much less susceptible to fatigue because you run the quiver, right? And if you run 1 Remembrance, at any point you just quiver your Stone Rains back into your deck. You you Remembrance 3 Lace with Blood Rots back into your deck, or Point the Tips if you're being saucy and running that. And at any point you get a Stone Rain, you're just like, okay, gloves
Dominated,
it in, pump,
yeah.
shoot it, and then you're rolling with like 13 dominate. You're basically Azalea cosplay.
Yeah, Rangers having access to an arrow with Dominate that doesn't require Azalea ability is really, 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 really good.
Also, it costs 0. Murky Waters costs 2.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic.
They just put the wrong hero token in that. They like put the Azalea hero token in there just to like sell the product because Azalea sells. But like, this is a Riptide product. Like,
yeah,
Azalea's happy too, but like Riptide is over the moon.
The good cards in it like scream Riptide, right? The Stone Rain feels like Riptide. The Line It Up's both. Actually, I take that back. Line It Up is Riptide. Do you know how cool it is? Like even Murkmire Grapnel, right? Murkmire Grapnel is the arrow that can't be prevented.
Yeah.
But if it has an encounter on it, it becomes a 0 for 5, so that it's actually like super overrate. If you play Line It Up, like use a Tunic counter or you trench a card, the Line It Up creates the Riptide trigger to put the card into Arsenal face down, and then you can just turn it face up. So with Tunic, you can do a 2-card 8 can't be prevented.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Just even more stonks against Enigma. Yeah, I'm pretty enthusiastic about this product. I think the value isn't crazy high, but
that's not the point.
Yeah,
like the point is to get an entry product that is good that entry players can use into their hands.
I like
and that's exactly what it does.
It came with a full art Azalea token. That was neat.
Yeah, and it explains what arrows and how they work on the back of it. That was really cool.
Oh, it came with man.
Yeah. Oh, also sharpshooters are just good. 1 battle worn, so you get to block 1 point with it, and then put an arrow in your arsenal.
Put an arrow for...
Okay.
Oh, and it just gives the aim counter. Neat.
Yeah, you just get the aim counter. That's why it's just like sharpshooter, put in Stone Rain, pump, shoot, finish the game. Battle Hardened Melbourne was last weekend. Thanks to Fluke and Box who streamed the entire thing. The meta was kind of as you expect. Very Zen, new, KO heavy. Interesting, Levia was kind of high up there. It wasn't a very big Battle Harden. It was 13 Zen, 13 new, 10 KO, 8 Prism, 7 Victor, 6 Riptide, 4 Levia, 4 Enigma, 4 Kano, and then I was going to cut it off there at the 4s, except there's a notable name that was only 3, and that's Azalea. There were only 3 Azaleas. There were more Riptides than Azaleas. I found that a really crazy stat.
I found that pretty crazy too. I think that's what stuck out the most. There was another thing that did as well. You mentioned it. We mentioned it in our Facebook chat, which was only 3 warriors, but
one of each
total, one of each. But the Azalea count actually threw me for a loop. I was like, wow. I was like, I just thought there'd be more Azaleas.
Did we get any rune blades this time?
Yes.
Please tell me we got. Oh, thank God.
I think there was like a Vincent and a Viscerai. It was something. It was low. I also noticed that we just said one of each and we just forgot poor Olympia.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it wasn't quite one of each. It was
one of each minus the warrior. It's not necessarily.
Sorry, Warrior Master Pack will save them.
Yeah.
Some like 2027
down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I still find it astounding. I don't think I've ever seen an archetype die so fast without a ban in any game.
As Warrior or Azalea
it's
or
just
both?
like there were tons of them.
Yeah, but we talked about why that happened. That's because it was a value-centric meta, and
now
Warrior can play value really well. And now we're in like
nothing got banned.
It was okay. So a couple things happened in my eyes. One with MST is Zen was faster than Dory, or than like the value decks could handle, right?
Right.
Because previously, like if you look at Dory's strengths, it was a value deck. There was no true aggro deck in the heavy format that was like really, really, really strong. Azalea was the closest one. Katsu tried to be. But KO was more mid-rangey though, right? Like he had a few pop-off turns, but like He wasn't like he was sat around like 13, 14. He wasn't like
Also
consistently
has
18.
an abysmal warrior matchup on record because of just the blocks.
Yeah, like,
I don't think it is anymore, and that might be why you're not seeing as many warriors either. Because I think even KO beats up on him because of Savage Sash.
So you had no true aggro deck to beat up on this value deck, right? Now you have Zen. Like, that's a true aggro deck, right? And then you looked at the off-axis decks at the time. It was Kano and Dromai, right? Dory, if you talk to people who got to like the highest levels of that matchup, it was 50-50, maybe Dromai favored, depending on how tech they were for it, because you could bring back Remembrance and Poppers, and you could win that matchup very, very cleanly. Kano, this was right when Kanos were really starting to learn how to stack. And so if you just played triple Oasis, they didn't understand like how the stacking process worked as well. Yeah, we had that happen to us. Yeah, literally 2 of us in this podcast right now had that happen in a game. Where
I had some Oasises I was holding, maybe.
Yeah. He was sitting on 3 Oasises. I knew how stacking worked in theory, but not in practice, and was not very good at it yet. I'm obviously much better now, but and I lost that game. And then the next time we played, I knew how it worked and I won. But
yeah,
so you had these off-axis decks that Dory played favorably into, and it played favorably into the more aggressive decks, and you're the queen of grind. Like, that was the best grind deck at the game. And now there's Enigma, which it has. I don't know how you beat Enigma.
You can't outgrind her. She's
she ain't playing. They ain't playing hatchets into her. I'll tell you that. Like, there's no value gameplay, and you're not dominating.
It's more you can't
either,
block her. Like, as soon as you block as warrior against Enigma, you've lost the game, because you're gonna block. You're gonna go, I'm gonna block that 7. She's like, I'm gonna swing that same 7 at you next turn.
Yeah. And then Kanos have figured out how to stack, and then there's a true aggro deck in the format now that like is faster than you can handle.
Yep. And they have 7 block.
Yeah, and they can fridge the one thing they need to. Yep.
So not surprised that the top 8 was Zen, Azuri, New, Prism, Enigma, and then like the only like kind of splash in there was a Dash IO at the end.
I like to see Dash IO up there.
So I think we have the 5 top seed in there are like exactly what we expect. Zen encounters to Zen. And then we have the Prism Enigma.
This is another 50% plus MST representation in top 8.
So I went and watched most of I went and watched the games that were on stream. The first one was Zen versus Dio, total non-game. The Zen just transcended like turn 0 and then blocked with Traverse on the next turn and then dropped her to like 4. So
no.
I mean,
yeah. What can you do? It happens.
And then same thing kind of happened with the Zen versus the Prism, though. I was talking to my buddy Damien. He said that maybe there was a misplay or something by the Prism that made that a little less close than it could be. And then it was Zen versus New, and New ended up picking it up. It was the Zen versus New game. And that is a little sad that it almost makes me wish all the other heroes were stronger, because watching like Zen versus New and Zen versus Azuri, those games are actually very entertaining to watch. That's like really good flesh and blood, watching the assassins take on Zen.
Zen versus Assassin is interesting because it's like Zen is honestly kind of like MST, and MST has been kind of engaging. Like even Enigma New, now that matchup's been kind of figured out, is very entertaining. Zen Enigma is not entertaining at all. That one's just Enigma tries to cosplay as New and gets ran over. But like, I don't know, like some of it has been engaging and interesting, but then there's sometimes Zen does Zen things.
I think New might be one of the most fun heroes to watch, period, in Flesh and Blood.
I like playing New. I like watching New. I don't like sitting across from New.
Yeah.
I really don't like sitting across from New.
Some of the degenerate stuff that you could see, like at Pro Tour, that New versus New game was some of the most coolest comboing of her hero ability I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that this is the meta that's going to continue, and honestly, I won't be surprised if Rosetta has almost no impact on it. We'll just see a slight change in the heroes that are just below Zen, New, and KO.
Nope. Yeah. If Nothing gets touched unless Rosetta is heinously powerful, which I hope it isn't. Like, as someone who loves Wizards and Runeblades, I hope they are not heinously powerful. I don't want people... Like, I don't want to ban half the set right when it comes out. Like, that's not good.
You
But,
you also don't want to just have like the almost the tradition in Flesh and Blood where talented heroes just like take off, zoom, and then hit LL like really quickly sometimes.
Flesh and Blood in recent has tried to make a really strong hero though out of the sets that come out. I think they really like. I think KO was a great one, and I think they fell short a little bit on the other.
I think
the
they
other
nailed
for
power
sure.
level on KO.
And then I think obviously MST brought powerhouses, and I think that Rosetta and continuing on, I think it's almost twofold. I don't want to say it's like some weird like tenfold, but I think they want the new sets to have an impact to also like push for newer players to want to get in, because if they pick up that set, there's going to be an initial impact in the meta. So not all of them are probably going to make the mark like in heavy, but one of these heroes for sure will have an effect. If it's not like the least obvious one, which I actually am thinking that Florian or Verdance will probably have the biggest impact initially on the meta, whereas the Wizards might take time to be found out. Well, the Wizard and the other Lightning, Aurora, might take time just from some of the initial cards. I mean, Aurora's weapon doesn't just scream overpowered. I mean, it seems pretty good. But I think Flesh and Blood's going to continue the trend. And Embodiment of Earth comes back in full swing. And so it's going to slow Zen down if Embodiment of Earth is there, especially if you have 2 Embodiment of Earth. You can make multiple Embodiment of Earth.
We'll see.
Okay.
I agree that could be.
I'm not saying you get to block wide because it's Zen's still wide, but you will have access to, I think, a slower. I think they'll be able to slow Zen down a little bit. Maybe not with disruption, but with just absolute block and life gain and manipulation.
we'll see. If you can, in theory, put enough life on the table that Zen has to punch through it, you might be able to do some sort of fatigue angle, but I don't know. I'm very skeptical of how they'll play into both New and Enigma. Well, Enigma probably more okay, maybe. And New is also scary for me.
We've seen that blocking Zen is not the way you beat Zen. Because New and Azuri are not blocking Zen. They are disrupting him. So
I mean, there's the Fatigue Bravo deck that kind of does, but like you kind of get there just because they kind of have to board into you being aggro Bravo, and then
you slow it down on them.
And then you fatigue them, and then it's like, oh, cool, you presented 60. Now you're dead.
But also, the one thing about Bravo is that like almost all those cards are coming in for like 8. So it's not 7, it's 1 more. It's 8. And it says this thing makes your turn not work.
Yeah, Crippling Crush is like, oh, you don't get to just throw the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope Bravo comes back. I miss him being in the meta. I think I like disruptive heroes. I want Ice to come back so bad. But I don't even think Ice necessarily tempers Zen that much because he's so blue heavy. I've watched some playtesting for Living Legends Zen versus Icelander, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. He's like, yeah, I'll pay 4 for your ice tax, and then I'll still kill you through it.
So it's not so much the ice tax as much as there are like specific ice cards that really, really help, right? Like Aether Ice Fan, like a lot of the pay to discard stuff is like super important, or like Oldhim Ice React, right? Is super important. Where
Channel the Bleak Expanse.
That's the card I was about to get to as well, where like they go levels of enlightenment, hold priority, do the transcend thing, like try to activate Zen, and you just go no. And that's Zen's whole hero text box is, and like whole power spike is around that. Like it's either Art of War or searching your deck and tutoring. And you don't get to do either of those with Bleak Expanse. And that card, I tried to make that card work in CC for forever. Never could, just because there was not enough things that it mattered. And in LL format, I've been playing a little bit of it. If you haven't played LL format, go play LL format. It's the most fun format right now, in my opinion. Bleak is like a top 5 card in that format. It might be like a top 3 card. It is insanely good.
I think I'm trying to recall how many Taylor Crawford bought up, but he was joking about how many Channel the Bleak expanses he owns, and I think he bought like 100 of them.
Well, there's like a 6-cent card. Like Cold Full of Frost-Hex is $2. Like go buy a Cold Full of Frost-Hex. Like seriously, but yeah, I don't know.
He's like, this is going to be the card. And he owns he owns a ton of foil Channel the Bleak expanse.
It does good things. But
if you've ever played Blood Rush Bellow and then in response Channel the Bleak expanse got laid down, you go, oh.
You discarded a card to do nothing. Yeah, it's
discard
great.
A card to not draw 2 cards.
Yeah. And by the way, I tried jamming it into Lexi because that matchup, once the Lexis decided to respect Icelander, was really, really cursed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I'm really ahead on board. I feel really good. I'm doing okay. 3 of a kind hits me. I was like, all right, I'll play Bleak to counter 3 of a kind. And it just didn't work out as well as I wanted.
Yeah, because it's like you're trying to do a 1 card counter to their 1 card counter, right?
Yep, exactly. The rest of the deck just ran you over.
And that's why I don't think I got hit by Channel the Bleak expanse as a Leviathan player very much, because it's like the only thing it hits is the Blood Rush Bellow. It's probably much better against KO, right? Because of Wild Ride and Bear Fangs.
Draw discards, yeah.
Yeah. But okay.
Yeah. But but if nothing changes for CC, like unless Rosetta is just heinously powerful, I just expect it to be 4 to 5 Zens and News in every top 8 with maybe an Azuri or an Enigma and then some rogue stuff.
Do you think we might get some disruption in Earth package? Some like good disruption?
Well, we've seen Felling Crown.
Yeah.
Like Felling Crown is good disruption. I hope for more. Both of these heroes are both of the Earth heroes, like them having that requirement of basically I don't have a text box for 3 turns is spooky. Yep. And they're going to need something to help slow the game down. So that requires disruption, that's some life gain, that kind
armor
of stuff.
kit, maybe.
Yep. Hopefully. But we'll see.
They're gonna be good, and access to embodiment of Earth, and maybe even making more than 1, which we all saw how crazy pre-Errata Briar was when you could just have all the embodiments. You're 1 card blocking for what? For 9 sometimes?
Can pre-Errata Briar beat Zen? Maybe Ball Lightning, if she has Ball Lightning.
Fatigue Briar is the one that took out Briar. I think Fatigue Briar with pre-Errata would have...
No, because that's Fatigue Briar was Math Briar. I think Zen flattens her.
I could see that.
Zen likes to fatigue himself pretty quick. He's pushing his cards out.
I think it's more... I don't think it handles Zen very well, but it handles New insanely well. Like being able to stop a bond with just 2 cards sounds nice. Like, oh wait, you're going to try to come in for 10. I'm going to block 5 with these 2/3 block Earth not attack actions with 2 embodiments. Like that sounds great.
And then throw back some kind of maybe a Findle's Fighting Spirit or something like that. Yeah. You know who?
But we'll see.
And then he goes push armor, block 7, deal you 40.
Yeah. But it is what it is. Like, it's where we're at. We'll see what happens when Rosetta comes out.
So maybe some homework for the next podcast, just to give us a definite direction, is let's think of like what decks we'd want to play into this meta if Zen continues to be strong. Like, what decks are good? I mean, I'm probably planning on talking about Dash IO soon, because even though I don't think she's the best deck in the meta, I think, or the best aggro deck in the meta, I think she still can beat anybody. So if you don't want to play Zen or beat Zen, maybe some decks to think about.
I'm going to add that to my homework. We should talk about, before we wrap it up quickly, the cards that were spoiled out of the First Strike, the Aurora and the Terra.
Oh, no. We're at the hour. We'll talk about them. We can talk about it next week, because we might have a couple more spoilers.
So cool.
I can yap about Aurora forever. I want more time.
Yeah. We could even make a whole. We can possibly do a whole podcast where we just talk about Runeblade or something. As we're leading into Rosetta, we can just say, "Hey, let's do our Runeblade podcast. Let's do our Wizard podcast." Yeah, but I don't want to bring up a new topic right at the hour, because I'm pretty sure we could gush about Aurora, because she looks really cool.
I'm pretty dang excited for it, and I think I need to pick up my Shock Charmers, because
did you say you're all in?
I'm like I'm all in on all four of these heroes,
Okay.
but like I love what she's trying to do. I can't wait. She's going to be one of the decks that's going to be in my rotation if I feel like playing an aggro deck. That's like her vibe just feels like old school Briar,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great. You don't have the channel mount heroic stuff, but like that's fine with me. I didn't like the channel mount heroic stuff.
I'm really excited to go to Tampa. I'm pumped.
Oh, dude,
It's gonna be so much fun.
I cannot wait. Just you're going to Tampa, I assume.
I am going to Tampa. Yes, I will be there. Yes, I'm getting in Thursday night. We'll be there at the convention hall early Friday morning. We're gonna be ready to rock.
Are you flying or driving?
I am road tripping with 3 of our other locals.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just all of us kind of live in the same area, so we're just meeting at my place and just leaving.
I might drive you guys. I wanted a reason to take my Honda anyway, so I could possibly drive everybody. If you want.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Because I was trying to I was going to end up just driving my car because it was going to be like one other person. But if we have enough to fill up my Honda, then I have a car that we could take and we'll all be comfortable. So I'm pumped for Tampa. That'll make it even better.
Yeah. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
But I wanted to mention that we have the Realm Invitational coming up August 17th. It's only 10 days away as of this recording. We've got all our prizes bought and on the way shipping. I think we could comfortably say it's going to be 4 boxes of Part the Mistveil to top 4 plus a box of hero sleeves.
Yeah. So top 4 is going to get box of MST and hero sleeves, and then 5th through 8th will be 6 packs a piece, and then we're going to be doing raffling for the rest.
Solid pricing. I wish I could go.
And that's not including if we get enough people, we will do an upgrade to the prize payout, and there will be a redistribution where you actually have cash to give out for a prize payout if we hit that $1,000 mark. That's our goal.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep. I think that'd be great. There'll also be some other things to raffle off, some skirmish mats, things like that. I'll have them on hand. If I start giving away too many things like the farm, we'll cut it back, but we'll have to kind of play it by ear. I just want to make sure everybody leaves feeling like they had a great time.
Oh man, Discord is still jumping in and out.
Yeah, I see Noah's gone.
Yep, and you went like very still for a moment, but sometimes you're good at that. And so I wasn't sure.
I just don't move a lot.
Yeah, sometimes. So I wasn't sure if you were sitting very still on purpose, but no, then I saw it jerk back in. So I think just Discord is on the fritz.
Yeah, I mean, Noah's very adamantly, or he looks like he's about to say something. There he is. Welcome back, Noah.
But yeah, my Discord like dropped.
Oh no.
There we go.
So let's get out of here quick. Again. Take us out of here before it freezes again.
All right. Well, where can they find you, Justin? Quick. Social media.
I think it's whatever Thomas put below me. I think it's J_EVS5.
All right. Got him. Thomas, where can they find you?
You can find me at What the System Fab on Twitter and What the System on Discord.
All right. I'm at Big Max Fab on Twitter, twitch.tv/Big Max, and then Big Max on Discord as well. Sometimes I'll be streaming on our YouTube account. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed catching up with us this week. And if you did, subscribe or follow depending on where you found us to catch us again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves and remember, we're all siblings in cardboard. Goodbye, everybody. And it's not new, but you got to discard your cards. I promise you. You did a good job discarding them during the Pro Tour. Keep it up. Discard them. Doesn't go away with Rosetta, I promise. And Dichi.